So guys, in this video we will learn about the different methods of list. Before that, we actually missed out something in our previous tutorial, that is the mutable and unmutable thing. Actually, lists and dictionaries are mutable and tuples are unmutable. That means let me show you that. I'll just add another cell over here, and if I write mixed and the tooth position element, that is the Michael, and if we run this cell you can see it printed Michael, but you can actually change those elements. But in tuple you can't change the element, or you can't add or remove a particular element, but in list you can do everything. So here you can see mixed tooth position has the Michael value, Michael item. So now if I want to change the Michael with John, then I'll just write mixed 2 equals to a string John. And now if I write mix2 and run this cell, you can see now the mix2 is John. Similarly, you can delete or add some items in any position in the list. Now, to add an element with a list, you can use the append function, or you can say append method. But remember, append always add the element after the last element. For example, in the mixed list, the last element is bread, and if I add anything with append method, it will add after bread. For example, I'll show you that. So mixed dot append, and for example I'll add another grocery item. Suppose I add honey, and now if I run this cell and if I print mixed, and you can see the honey is added after the last element. Actually the list is so long that's why it is breaking down, otherwise it will print in a single line. So I'll just remove some element. For example, I just add the honey with the grocery list which we already created over here. So the grocery list has only the grocery items, that is the 5 items. Now if I add honey with grocery item and print grocery, uh, now you can see the honey is added after bread, right? Now suppose you want to add some item in a particular position. So to do that you need to use the insert method. So the insert method actually add in a specific position. For example, if I want to add another grocery item in, like, after milk, okay, so suppose I want to add biscuits after milk, so I'll just write grocery, then insert, and after that I have to write the position where I want to insert the particular item. So I'll want to add the biscuits in tooth position 0, 1 and 2. That means milk is at 1 position, and after the after milk, that means it is tooth position 2 position. So I'll just write 2, and after that what I want to add after milk, I want to add biscuits. And if I press enter and if I print grocery, now you can see lollipop, milk and then biscuits, then rest of the item is same. So chocolate, deodorant, bread and honey. Now suppose there are two lists. For example, list 1 has some elements, for example 1, 2, 3, and there is another list called list 2. It has some other elements, for example 10, 12 and 13. Now if you want to merge these two lists one after another, you just use the extend method. So I'll just write over here list 1 dot extend, then list 2, and if I print list 1, after that it will merge the list 2 items after list 1. So you can see it is first printing the list 1 items, after that it is merging the list 2 items. So I'll just write over here add list 2 to list 1. it actually does like this. And if you want to print the list 2 items first and after the list 1 items, you can write like this: list 2 dot extend then list 1, and you need to print the list 2, because now the list 2 becomes the longer new list. So I'll just rerun this cell and rerun this cell. Now you can see 10, 12, 13 and 1, 2, 3 list 2 items are added with the list 1 item. So here I'll just write list 1 to list 2. Okay, so in this way you can use the extend method. Now if you want to sum all the elements from list 2, because now the list 2 is this whole list, okay, not this 10, 12, 13. It is 10, 12, 13 and after that 1, 2, 3. So now if you want to calculate the sum of every particular number, or you can say every particular item, you don't need to use like this list 2 0 position then plus a list to 1 position and so on. You don't need to write like this. You can use a simple method, that is the sum. So you have to write sum list 2 and it will print the sum of all the items. Now suppose there is a list called random and it has some numbers, for example 1, then 4, some random numbers, okay, 6, 29, or you can say you can put any random numbers, and there are some values, for example this 6 has repetition, okay, and then last 6. So 1 second, yeah, so this random has some random numbers where the 6 has 3 repetition. So now if you want to count how many 6 are there in this random list, so for that you have to use the count method. Actually count method calculates the total occurrence of a given element of list. So I'll just write over here random dot count 6. It will count how many 6 are there in this total list. So if I press enter, it showed 3 because there are 3 6 over here. Okay. Now similarly you can know the length of a list. For that you have to write len and then random or the list name, then it will show the length of the list. That means how many total elements are there in that particular list. Here there are 13 elements in this list, so that's why it is showing 13. Now if you want to sort this list in an ascending order or descending order, you can use the sort method. So you have to write random, or you can say list name, and after that sort, then a bracket, and if you run the cell and after that write random, you can see all the elements are now sorted in ascending order. That means 1 is the smallest element in this list and this 8865 is the largest element in this list. And now similarly if you want to reverse the list, you can use the slicing which we already saw over here, not this one. If I write like this, okay, I'll just make another you can say list with the similar items, random 2 23 suppose, and I'll just run this list and then random 23 dot short and run this cell. And now if I write random, or you can say print random and print random 23, both the list is same. Now you can reverse the list with the reverse method as well as through the slicing method. So I'll just show you both the method. So random dot reverse will reverse the first list, that is the random list, and if you want to reverse the list through the slicing method, you have to write like this: random 23 has this clone and then -1. So now if I want to print random and print random 23, You can see the first one is reversed but the last one is not reversed. That is because actually if you use the reverse method, it actually changes the random list to the reverse list. It is totally change the random list. Now whenever you call the random list, it will print this reverse list, it will not print the actual list. But whenever you call this slicing method, the random 23 list is not changed. When you call like this, it will print in reverse order, but after that when you call the random 23, it will print the original list, it will not print the reverse list. So I have to put this inside the print method. Okay, and now if I run this cell, you can see now both the list is reversed, right? So in this way you can reverse a list. Now if you want to pop the last element from the list, you can use the pop method. For example, the random is this element, this total list, and if you use the random dot pop and the bracket, it will actually pop the last element, that is 1, and the list will have the rest 12 elements. So if I run this cell, you can see it popped the 1 value. Now if I print random, now you can see there is no 1 after 4, right? So now it has 12 elements. Now if you want to delete a number from any particular position, you can use the del method. So to do that, you have to write del and then the list name, for me it is random, and then in the third bracket, or you can say box bracket, you can write the position of that number. For example, I want to delete this 987, so the position of 987 is 1, so I'll just write over here 1. And now if I press enter, and then I'll just write random, and now you can see there is no 987. So after 8865 it is 100 and so on. Now suppose the list is so long that you don't know a particular path of that element. So in that case you can also delete that element by directly calling the element. So to do that you can use the remove method. So for example, I'll just write over here random dot remove, and inside the bracket, inside the parentheses, you can use the element. For example, now I want to delete this 56 element. You can delete whatever number you want or whatever element you have. So I'll just write over here 56, so it will delete this 56 element. You can see there is I'm not writing the position of 56. That means actually there is no 56th position element in this list, because there are only 12 elements, or I can say there are only 11 elements. So I am writing the element over here, not the position of that element. So if I press enter, and then I'll just write the list name, and now you can see there is no 56 over here. After 8865 178 and it becomes 45, there is no 56. So these are the methods in list, and no need to remember all the elements. You can google it whenever you want, or I'll say just practice a lot, you will remember it automatically.